Welcome to the Spurs 9501 podcast. From Kane to the Lane, the final say on all things Tottenham. Here are your hosts, Steve, Ray, Cam and Jam.
Everybody, welcome back to the Spurs 9501 podcast. This is our end of season review of the 4-2 win away at Leicester. Welcome to everybody. This is Ray in London.
And Steve in London.
Jam in Connecticut.
Cam in sunny Florida.
Yes, excellent. Welcome back to everybody. This is our final podcast, but just to let you know, we will be pushing out content regularly in the off season, so you will be still seeing all of us. So you're not going to get away that easily. So let me start with this in goal. Matt Doherty at right back, Alderweireld and Davinson Sanchez, left back Reguilon, midfield of Harry Winks and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, middle three of Ali, Son and Bergwijn, and up front Harry Kane, possibly playing his last game for Tottenham Hotspur, but we'll see about that. Over to my best friend Cam now for the stats.
Okay, so I've got some interesting stats here for you guys. Obviously, we played Leicester many times since the first game in 1914. 116 times, of which we won 58 times, lost 37, and drawn 21. So what's the interesting stat, you may ask? Well, if today Leicester had beaten us, it would have been the first time they'd done the double over us since. Anyone hazard a guess? A year?
1941.
Steve?
There was no football in 41.
All right, let me change it.
Go on, guys. Hazard a guess.
1967.
That's pretty good. Steve?
I would say 68, actually.
Yeah. Jam?
Yeah, 80s, sometime around there. I don't know.
1925.
Really?
Oh, I was close first time, wasn't I? What do you mean there was no football in the 40s?
I mean, wow. So I'm glad we dodged that.
Oh yeah, sorry, that's the World War, wasn't it?
Say.
My apologies.
It was the old League Division 1, Steve. I don't think any of us were born then, Steve. Would you
Steve
like
was.
to confirm that?
Well, I probably only managed to catch a couple of games that season.
Okay, so just going on to the stats on the possession. Possession-wise, 53% for Spurs, 47. I thought it would have been higher. We had 11 shots. They had 10. We had 4 on target. They actually had 6. They had 8 corners. We had 7. 9 fouls committed by Leicester, 8 by us. And then my final question for you guys. And who do you think got the Man of the Match award? Do you want me to turn around and show you the back of my shirt? Or do you want to guess yourself?
Is it your friend, Kamal? Cam?
Absolutely. Who do you think?
Gareth Bale.
Oh,
Yeah, the one and only.
The one and only. Gareth Bale.
Welsh wizard, yeah.
Yes.
Are you done on the stats then, Cam?
I
I
am.
can't remember. Yeah, done on the stats. Thank you very much. Let's start with the first half analysis. Actually, no. Let me ask Jam about what he thought about his 2 favourite players being back in the team: Matt Doherty at right back and Davinson Sanchez back into the centre of defence. What was your thoughts about that, Jam? Could you contain your delight when that was announced?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I was happy to see Sanchez over Dio. It's been, I don't think he's been good enough. But then again, you got Sanchez as his replacements, which, he showed his frailties today, but he played generally, I think, better. I think he's a better defender no matter what, but he's definitely got more mistakes in him. So, you take the good with the bad with that guy. Especially when your other option is Dio. And literally, Dio. And Doherty actually played well today, I thought. He improved. He looked like a different man almost, and I feel like maybe he'll get a second chance next season. We'll see.
Okay, cool. Okay, excellent. I mean, let's come to you now. Talk about the first half performance and what actually happened and how it evolved in the first half.
Oh, well, I mean, I thought the first half performance from Spurs was pretty poor, I'm afraid. I'm not sure what the stats were for the first half, but I would imagine Leicester had more possession in the first half than we did. Maybe not. No. I thought Winks was poor. Ali was doing the odd flick, but he kept slowing the ball down. He kept getting caught on the wrong side of players. And I think it showed, and I mean, we're going to talk about the second half later, but certainly when Ali was replaced, things changed and Bergwijn was replaced. I thought Kane was pretty non-existent as well, actually. I think he had one instance where he tried to beat 4 players in the box. Kane seemed to be doing all he could to sort of undermine his value. Maybe that would help him get a move away, I don't know. But he was just his mind seemed somewhere else to me. When he got the ball, he just wanted to see if he could do something spectacular, whether it was a goal or it was a killer pass. And I think a couple of times he missed a fairly obvious pass to a player in a better position, which is a shame. And I don't think he would have done that 6 months ago. There was a penalty, of course. Which
Was it a penalty, Steve?
Well, I didn't think it was. And even after the VAR, I didn't think it was. Everyone around me said it was. They're all Spurs supporters as well. I thought that he ran deliberately into Toby's foot when he was trying to block it. Toby was stationary. He ran into him. I think it was an extremely soft penalty. How would I have felt if it had been the other way round? I'd have taken it, as you would do, but I think it wasn't a penalty. I think the second one definitely was. But, this is the way VAR is all over the show, isn't it? Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I think in the second half, which we're going to come on to, when their player cleared the ball, I thought it hit his hand when he was clearing it. It's tricky, but I thought it was a pretty poor performance, and we were lucky to go in. I think it was 1-1, wasn't it? Yeah.
Talk about the Kane goal, Steve, and then I'll come to Cam on that.
Well, I think it was a corner from Son. And then I think, was it Doherty who...
Yeah, it was Doherty, yeah.
Yeah, it was good. There was a scramble. And, I mean, Kane does what he does do very well. He hit that ball like a rocket. And it nutmegged Schmeichel. I think to nutmeg Schmeichel, or to nutmeg any goalkeeper, is pretty unusual. It was just the sheer force of them being able to just hit that ball as hard as he possibly could. And he wasn't having, he didn't have to think either, did he? He didn't think, well, is someone in a better position, because they weren't. Should I be passing it? No. So he wedded it, and it was a great goal.
Excellent. Cam, let me come to you now. What are your thoughts on the first half for Tottenham? And, did you think it was a penalty or not?
I thought it was a penalty. I thought he trailed his leg at the back. I think the most disappointing thing about it all, really, Ray, is the fact that with Vardy's current form, I don't think he was going to be scoring a goal there. I think he had too much work to do, and I think if Toby had carried on, there was no way he was getting a goal in that position. So it was a soft penalty in that sense. Very, very disappointing. But having said that, I thought with the chance, I mean, we played poorly. I mean, what Steve hasn't said is that Kane didn't touch the ball for the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, where was he? What was going on? I mean, I don't know whether he was playing dodgeball or what, but Son's touch was very poor in the first 15, 20 minutes. It was so bad that I just thought it was going to be one of those days. And I think whilst he were talking on the chat, we were looking at, a potential cricket score, the way that Leicester were getting so much space. I thought Winks took a bit of time to settle in. He keeps making these really bad passes. But overall, I didn't think that he was so bad. I know that you didn't want Winks in the team, Ray, but I thought maybe Sanchez and Winks were there because they will put in the shop window.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
And that maybe that we just need to move them on. We need to give them some game time.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Overall, I thought the first half, Kane could have had a couple more chances. He could have had a couple more goals. I just didn't see Leicester scoring outside of those penalty positions. And one thing that shocked me about that game was the wide open spaces in midfield. Normally we're overrun in midfield, and I don't know where Leicester were in the midfield. They seemed gung ho intent on just running at us and hoping that they will, forgetting about defence and just trying to go for that top four position. And I think their mindset was very different from how I've seen them play before, which probably played into our hands and helped them develop better into probably the last 10 minutes of the first half.
Okay. Jan, your thoughts on the first half?
Yeah, I think we definitely, a lot of players took a little time to grow into the match. First 20 minutes were all Leicester and it was worrying. But then I think, once they scored, we did Kane started working a little harder for the team. And everyone else kind of seemed to pick up a little bit. I don't think we finished the half that great. Going in 1-1 though is an awesome result. But then, what happened is Leicester seemed to panic. They were really playing for something and it showed. Where they just kept throwing everything at us, and it worked. And if the roles were reversed, I feel like we wouldn't have won that match. But fortunately, we didn't have much pressure on us, and it really did work for us.
So Leicester plays like Spurs would have played, basically.
I think you just with like Chelsea losing today too. There's a lot of pressure on.
Yeah. Okay, great. I mean, from my point of view, again, Sanchez is just an awful defender. I mean, whenever he touches the ball or goes close to the ball, I just have nightmares. So many times he had an easy header to somebody and he headed it out. Ridiculous. We'll talk about the penalty later, but he just doesn't. And I think he transmits that to Alderweireld as well. Alderweireld, sticks his foot out. Jamie Vardy has scored 3 goals in 27 games. As Cam said, he's not likely to put that away. So just don't give him a chance to fall over. So, after that first half, I could see only one team winning, but then seems it turning now, Cam. Second half, talk us through that.
Well, I mean, everyone's going to have their say on Sanchez's that penalty. I actually think that probably was less a penalty than the first one, because it seemed like Vardy has locked arms into him, and it could have gone either way. It could have been a foul either way. Very soft penalty again to give away, but the fact that Sanchez was all arms and legs all over Vardy like that is just no way to defend, is it? And he always lets the player get the wrong side of him in the box, and that is where all the problems start. That's where everything goes wrong for Sanchez, and we've seen it game in, game out. I mean, I think the game was the frustration for me was the time it took Mason to make a change. Now, he wanted to go out on a high. This was Mason's last game. A lot of players' last game, potentially. We had a lot to go for. We want to be the most important thing. Two targets for us. One was some form of Europe to actually try and attract some decent manager. And secondly, we want to finish ahead of Arsenal, because that's a slippery slope for us, and that's something many Spurs fans cannot palate, including me. So the fact that Arsenal were already winning 2-0 against Brighton should have spurred us on, and I thought Mason took too long to make his changes. He was lucky enough that it didn't have an impact, and I thought Bale's impact was incredible, especially potentially for his last game. I mean, he knows how to turn it on when he needs to. But the main thing is the spaces that he had in that midfield to run at. I mean, one of the things that Bale's not had in a lot of games is that kind of space, because they've always put players on him and close him down. But giving a player of that quality that kind of space is incredible. And the first goal, he's the one who passed it out to Kane. I believe we made a bit of a hash of it, because he had about 4 chances in which to shoot, and he got it stuck everywhere. Almost had a handball, which I didn't see it myself, but I know VAR looked at it. Passed it back, so Kane gets another assist, and fantastic finish by Bale. And the second goal was just pure Bale class, wasn't it? Ran it from the centre of the field. Leicester were in complete disarray, because by then it was 2-2, and they knew they had to get another goal. So they'd pushed forward, and they were attacking pretty violently in some ways against us. And he went through and smashed it in. I thought it was a fantastic goal.
Yeah, the second equaliser for Tottenham, Cam, Kasper Schmeichel's own goal punches it. Wow. Is that the type of mistake he makes, which really he's just on the cusp of being an elite keeper, but he makes stupid mistakes like that? I mean, what do you think?
Well, this is the same keeper who pulled out a wonder save in the FA Cup final against Chelsea.
Yeah, exactly.
Against Mount. In any game, anywhere I've seen, that was almost you'd have put your mortgage on that shot. Yeah. Right? And then he goes and does that. I don't know. I mean, did Sanchez put him off? Did Sanchez want to claim it to try and make up for his own goal, his penalty mistake? But yeah, I mean, we gave them 2 free goals. They gave us 1. So I think a fair result would have been 3-0.
Yep. Okay. Jam, what do you think about the second half? And were you impressed by our comeback, or you just think it's a combination?
Sorry, keep talking over you. I know we're not supposed to do that, but yeah, I was entertained. It was that was the type of football you want to watch. We actually dug deep and fought for a match, which we haven't seen since November, maybe before that. Yeah, so it was good. It was good to see, and hopefully, there's some positives moving into next season. There's probably going to be big changes. Like we said, it's probably a lot of these players' last match, Mason's last match as manager, especially. But yeah, it's encouraging. There's some positives there. There's some players that might have something to prove, whether it's with us or with another team. We'll see.
What were the positives you took out of the match, Jam?
Well,
second half mainly.
Second half, Bale, of course. Dele never really stepped up today, which is a big shame. But Son started fighting a little more. Kane started fighting a little more. There was a little there's some hunger there. Doherty played well in the second half. I thought he attacked really well, got some really good crosses in. Who else was playing well? Højbjerg, he's been on a slope recently. Obviously, he seems tired. I don't think he did great, but they were there, Winks and him, in the important times. So Reguilón didn't mess up a lot today. He was focused on his job. He wasn't trying to do anything fancy. He just went there and didn't make mistakes, and that's what you got to do sometimes.
Okay, thanks for that, Steve. Give us your main talking points of the match then. What were the main talking points of the match?
Well,
then we'll come to the takeaways after that.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to maybe just come back on Cam talking about the substitutions. I thought the substitutions were just at the right time. There was still half an hour to go. If that had been Mourinho, he'd have waited till 10 minutes to go. Yeah. And Mason brought those players on, and that's what changed the game. I thought Bergwijn was a bit unlucky to come off because actually I thought he didn't do too badly in the first half. He got a few crosses in, beat his player. Ali, I thought, was hopeless today. He was causing damage for us, and when he went, things changed. Yeah. And obviously Bale came on, completely changed everything. Leicester had to chase the game as well, so that helped open things up. I mean, I share your view, I think, Ray, of Sanchez, though. I thought he was absolutely terrible today. I assumed that he'd been chosen to play, not just because Dyer is Dyer, but because Mason was worried about the pace of the Leicester attack. And I think Vardy ran him ragged, actually. And he gave away that penalty. Cam's quite right, because he got the wrong side of the player. But you're a centre-half. You don't need to get the wrong side of the player. Alderweireld was right next to him at that time as well. And he slices the ball. I think at one point we hit the atmosphere when the ball went vertically up. And these things happen under pressure. You can see that the player's about to tackle him, and he delays just ever so slightly and doesn't clear the ball. I think I know we're going to get to the takeaways later, but I'll keep my sort of thunder for that. But I thought clearly once you get 4-2, it's good, isn't it? And Bale played well. They opened up. They were chasing. They were getting more frustrated, and we took advantage of it. But I still think they still had individual spirit, which I think was good. And I mean, that's Leicester. I think at times we don't have that, and we need to be battling on those one-on-ones, and I don't think we do that. What
was your main play of the game, Steve?
The main play?
What was the main thing that stuck out at you from the game? The play of the game, yeah.
Well, it reinforced, I'm afraid, my prejudices about Sanchez, which I'm pretty certain that you understand that. Yeah. And also, we don't have a playmaker, so we haven't got anyone to deliver that killer pass. The closest we got was Toby Alderweireld stepping up into almost the halfway line and putting a really good ball through to Son. Unless, of course, Kane drops back. But we don't want Kane to be dropping back. And, of course, he may not be there next season. So we've got to get a playmaker. Okay.
Jam, let's come to you. What's your main play of the game? And then we'll come to, this is different from the takeaway. So what play of the game stood out for you?
So Lloris gets a lot of slack all the time. But I think at 2-2, he made a really good save, which was an important save. I think that's the only really big save he made.
Which one was that save? I don't remember.
It wasn't much. It was like a quick snapshot. He made a quick save. It was like the only save he had to make in the match. Okay. And he does that often, even though he's got a lot of flaws. He's always reliable, and he is at times a world-class keeper. And I feel like, if we're going to spend money on players in the summer, I don't think goalkeepers are first a priority.
Yep. Okay. All right. Cam, your play of the game?
I just want to add what Jam says. It was incredible to see for the first time in 3 games that Lloris didn't have to try and make a save against one of his own defenders. So that's a good start. I mean,
they gave away 2 penalties. That's basically the same thing, right?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they didn't test their own goalkeeper. They decided to test him in different ways. I think the main play of the game for me was the final goal from Bale when he ran from the halfway line. There's 3-4 minutes left of the game to go. 5 minutes, maybe 4 minutes left to go. It's his last game potentially for Spurs. What a way to sign off! What a way to say goodbye to the fans who stuck by you this year, who've done who put up with a lot of stuff. What a way for him to say goodbye after being so brutally sidelined by Mourinho for so long. And I thought it was brilliant the way he went through 3 players who, for some bizarre reason, backed off him and side-footed it against the post, carried on and put it into an empty net. Brilliant.
Yeah. Great goal, yeah, great goal. My main player of the game is, I think we've got Kasper Schmeichel to thank a lot, because until we equalised at 2-2, I couldn't see us scoring a goal or even having a shot. And I think once that goal went in, that own goal, that sort of galvanised us to say, hold on again, it's 2-2, we can actually win this game. So I think Kasper Schmeichel needs to be made an honorary Tottenham Hotspur fellow or something like that. But we need to thank Kasper. Let's come to the takeaways again now. I mean, we're going to be closing down this podcast for the last time. Final takeaway, I'm going to come to you first, Cam. What's your takeaway from the final match of the season?
Well, it shows that when we want to play, we can play. We can get together. It seems like, I mean, Steve made a point, first half, awful performance, disjointed, very in pieces. But when we really wanted to put it together, we could put it together. We showed some technical ability. We have some players with technical ability. And once the new players came on, we sort of like started working together. But again, my main takeaway is we still don't have anyone creative in midfield. I thought this time Bale did do some of that creative work by spreading the ball both sides, but you can't expect the front three to also be the creative midfield, and that for me is something that is a gaping hole in the team.
Okay, thanks, Cam. Jam, your main takeaway from the game?
Yeah, very very similar takeaway. It shows that this team isn't entirely crap, but it's just mostly crap. So there's some
partly crap.
Partly crap. At least like half of it. There's a lot of changes that we need to get up to the level that we have come to expect in the last few years. But beating Leicester when they really needed a win today is a positive to take, because Leicester had a really good season. They're a top team too, so we should be where we should have been fighting for fourth today, and that's what we should be doing next season.
Yeah. Okay, Steve, your main takeaway?
I think we still need a clear out. Maybe half the team need to go, I'm afraid. And I would say that includes Sanchez. I might give Doherty one more chance as a squad player. But there's some root and branch changes that need to happen in that team.
Okay. Thank you very much, Steve. My main takeaway is that just following on from what Steve said, other than Toby, that whole defence needs to change. I mean, even Reguilon, I don't trust as a left-back. Even today, he tried to pass it out and he got a deflection. Luckily, he went to one of our players. I don't think defensively he is good enough in the Premier League. For La Liga, maybe, which is not as strong as league as the Premier League, but for us, I don't think so. So I prefer Reguilon further up the pitch where he can just, attack players and have a proper left-back. So I think that whole defence, unless that defence is changed, we're going to be having the same discussion next year about how rubbish we are. So the defence any manager that comes in has got to focus on the defence, because I think we've got creativity in other parts. I take Cam's point, we don't have a playmaker, but we can do that. Okay, guys, so finally now, this is coming to the end of the podcast, end of the season. I'm going to have, just give us your highlights of the season since we started doing our podcast in October. What's been your main highlight? What's the thing that's really stood out for you and you said, yep, that's the thing that's really, I really, really remember that. Let's start with you, Steve. What's been your highlight since we've been doing these podcasts?
Well, I think when we beat Man United, was it 6-1 away?
Yeah,
that's got to be the highlight.
Yeah.
And after that game, we all thought we were going to win the league, didn't we?
Yeah. How wrong we were.
It's been downhill, frankly, since then. But that's certainly my standout moment of the season.
Great. Jam, your highlight of the season since we've done doing the podcast?
Yeah, I mean, it was all that whole period. I mean, from that Man United win till December 25th, we were first, right? And that was yeah, there was real hope there. Mourinho was manager, and where did it go wrong? I don't know.
Well, that's my next question, but stick to your highlight.
All right, yeah, highlights. That, like I said, that whole period was just really exciting. Really exciting times. We went on to beat Man City, and we really thought we were on top of the world.
Yep. Okay, great. Jam, your highlight of the season?
Cam, you mean?
Cam, even. Sorry, my apologies.
Yeah. Well, for me, I mean, the highlight for me is that, as far as I'm concerned, I don't care what anyone else says, but the season ended on Christmas Day and we won. We won the Premier League. That was it. Forget about what came afterwards. But for me, so it was great. Congratulations, everyone. We're Christmas winners. But the real highlight for me, I mean, and this is a problem that we have, don't we, as Spurs fans? We is that hope. We always have this love and this hope that we're doing so much better than we are, only for it to be crushed violently and horrifically with sleepless nights. But one of the key highlights for me was Son's goal against Arsenal. I mean, when he came along and took it from outside the box, curled it from. We haven't seen him do that since. I mean, what a beautiful goal, and against the Gunners as well. And then that's a second goal by Kane as he came forward, and the goal that he scored. I think those are the positive highlights. Are we going to do negative ones?
We do the negative ones in after this. Let me do my positive, and then we'll do the negatives. Yeah.
Obviously, the Man United win, the Manchester City win, but those two goals against Arsenal really stuck out.
Okay, my highlight of the season was when we fired Mourinho, because that's a failed project, and as long as that kept going, we weren't going to move forward. So that, unfortunately, I know it's not a nice thing to say, but when we fired Mourinho, this is when we can actually press the reset button and move forward. Obviously, there were other highlights, that 6-1 win at United, the 2-1 win against Arsenal, or 2-0 win, whatever it was. Come to you now, Cam, again. What's your low light of the season? Let's pick a game where something happened and you said, my God, this is the low light. Rather than a generic thing, what's your low light in any game that happened?
Well, I mean, that's all I'm going to say to you is my low lights of the season under Mourinho were the last 5 minutes of most of our games. And specifically, I'm going to say to you, Palace, Wolves, West Ham, and Newcastle. That's 8 points just thrown out. Where would we be now on 8 points? 69 points?
Yeah, we would have been in Champions League, yeah.
We'll be in Champions League. And those last 5 minutes, inability to hold on to a lead. And I've criticised Mason for a lot of things, but I haven't seen that display, that last 5 minutes crumble in the last 6 games. We may have lost a few games, but we weren't just completely falling to pieces. What we saw today in the last 5 minutes us to go on and get 2 goals, which is what we should have done. And I think for me that really epitomised the collapse of the Spurs spirit and the inability. You would have thought under Mourinho that's where we would have been our strongest, but we were actually our weakest.
Yep. Thanks, Cam. Steve, your lowest point of the season? Can you pick a particular thing or something?
Well, I mean, I'd say I think it's been a death by 1,000 cuts for us, really, since Christmas. We're slow, sort of a spiral towards mediocrity that has been awfully depressing. A couple of, or maybe at least one standout, is how on earth did we get knocked out of the Europa League? I mean, that was just embarrassing. We were against a second-rate team. And we made them look good, and we were just gutless, witless, and hopeless. And another one which made me laugh, really, which I don't know we're going to do, you're probably not going to do, let's have something that makes me laugh, was Reguilón's own goal. I mean, that was crazy, utterly crazy. Sort of side foot or outside of his right foot volley into the top corner. I mean, you couldn't see that coming. That was amazing. So that almost turned into a sort of low stroke high point in some strange, perverse way.
Yeah. Yep. Keystone Cops.
Keystone Cops, definitely.
Yeah.
Jam, your low light? Low life?
I was gonna pick the same one as Steve, the dropping out of the Europa League, and we were 2-0 up against Dinamo, and it was like, because there was a lot that happened before those matches, and it was poor and sad, and there was many opportunities to go into top 4 that we just threw away over and over again, like at least 4 times this season, where the teams above us dropped points and we had an opportunity playing after them that we just crumbled for no reason. But definitely, even after that, I still had a little bit of faith in Mourinho, and just going out the way we did was just so disappointing, so embarrassing, as Larry said. Yeah, that was definitely my low point of the season.
Okay, my low point of the season, and now everybody says football is a game of fine margins, and my low point was when Stevie Bergwijn went through. He had 2 chances against Liverpool. One of those chances goes in, it could be a really different season. So I know it's fine margins, but we score one of those goals, Mourinho shuts up shop, and we beat Liverpool away. Imagine the impact that's going to have on our confidence and what we're going to do. So that's my low point of the season, the Liverpool game, where we let them score in the last minute. And Stevie B didn't score, so that's my low point.
Did we give a penalty away? Did we give a penalty away in that game?
No, we didn't give a penalty away there. So, guys, just talking to you guys, I mean, just to let all our fans know, all our YouTube viewers and all our podcasters. We will be pushing out content regularly in the off season, talking about Spurs players in Europe, the European Championships, transfer rumours, who's going to be the Tottenham manager. There's lots happening at Tottenham Hotspur, so you're not going to get rid of us that easily. We're still going to be pulling content out. Now, as we say on Spurs 9501, our motto is the final say on all things Tottenham. So I'm going to come to all of our hosts now to give their final say on Tottenham Hotspur at the end of the season. So I'm going to come to you, Jam. Your final say on Tottenham Hotspur.
Tottenham, we keep going again next season, right? One special mention I want to do: goal of the season, absolutely Lamella's goal against Arsenal. That Rabona, wow.
Mm-hmm. Good one, yeah, it's a good one actually. Lamella, yeah. Maybe unfortunately or fortunately, he may not play for us again. Maybe he's on his way to Roma, but we'll see. Cam, your final say on all things Tottenham.
I mean, it's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, with the money that we have, the size of the club is now 62,000. I think that's great. I think the coronavirus has crippled the club financially. We're not as lucky as the other top four. Are we a true top four contender, or have we flattered to deceive? I think right now, some of the decisions that were taken a couple of seasons back, not signing players, and the way that the club was being run have really come home to roost. The quick fix and trying to buy yourself something by bringing in a manager who was completely contra to the culture of Tottenham has totally backfired. And I think all of you would have seen it coming miles away. I don't know why Daniel Levy didn't. And so I think my takeaway for this season is it's been one where this team has again tried to achieve something without putting the resources in, either into the team, into the players, or into the managing staff, and just try to get something for nothing. And it just doesn't work. It hasn't worked. And that's the reason why we haven't won a trophy in God knows how many years.
Okay, Cam, thanks. Steve, final say on all things Tottenham?
Well, look, players and managers come and go. Fans and the facilities we've got and the stadium, they're going to be there for the foreseeable future. There is a very firm base from which to build, and that is with the stadium and the facilities we've got. I think it's going to take 2 or 3 years, but we have got the foundations there, and we will come back. We will be a top four club.
That's good to leave on a positive note. My final say on all things Tottenham is to Harry Kane. Thanks for the memories, Harry. It's been a great ride with you there. It's going to be a shame to see you leave, but I understand why you're going, and you go with my blessing. You know, I mean, I really, really want you to succeed. You've done so much for Tottenham Hotspur. I can't begrudge you a move to somewhere where you may actually win something. So my final say is good luck, Harry Kane.
Fair enough. Yeah,
all the
good
best,
luck, Harry.
Take care, yeah. So, everybody, this is Ray from London saying goodbye, and we'll see you on the next podcast.
And Steve from London saying goodbye.
What about Come On You Lowlights?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, you didn't do Come On You Spurs.
I
Come on, you
can't say it as
Lowlights.
good as Ray. Sorry, Jam, go ahead.
From Connecticut, it's Jam. See you next season, or well, in the off season.
Hi, it's me. Signing off by saying give Bale another year so he can retire at Spurs. Come on, you Spurs. Bye from Florida. This is Cam.
This is Ray. Goodbye, everybody. Come on, you Spurs. We'll see you
Come
soon.
on, you
Take
Spurs.
care.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Bye-bye, everybody.
See ya.
You've been listening to the Spurs 9501 podcast. Stay in touch, continue the debate, and let us know what you want to discuss by finding us on YouTube. Tune in after the next match day for more insight. Thanks for listening.